All right, we are live. Welcome in. Welcome in. We are doing a sleeper mock draft. We planned on doing, my lights aren't even on. I'm completely unorganized right now. We planned on doing an underdog mock, but Spicy Hot wasn't available for us to do a little ghost draft. So we're going to run one on sleeper for the first time in probably about a month or two. So the draft is actually full. So I'm going to, share my screen here, randomize the order and all that shit, and we'll get this going.
Yep. No, it's a refreshing look. Obviously, we've been doing a lot of best ball content, so now we give you, a season long type of look at it. So there we go.
Yep. So we get into the draft settings, draft order, randomized teams, and I'm picking from 109. You're picking from 108. So that'll
Oh
be fun.
God, this is
Yeah.
some of the worst picks this year, FYI.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, definitely. Yeah. If you guys want to know what are the worst picks this year, I mean, it all depends on who falls to. Because if you get lucky and like one of the top receivers falls to you at 108, then maybe it's not that bad of a pick because you'll get a great second rounder. But what you get at the 108, 109, 110, 111 area is not great in the first round, and it's also terrible in the third round too. What falls back to you, I've noticed.
Yeah, no, it's pretty ugly. I will say, I would slightly prefer 108 than 109. I think simply
Well, yeah,
because
you have a chance that Chase falls to, I think, at 108.
and not to mention at least like you maybe get access to one of those high upside wide receivers in the third round if you're, in a more casual league and they're taking running backs. But we'll see how the draft responds now. Obviously, with, a 3 wide receiver setting, we should see them fly off.
Yeah, for those of you guys that are in the draft, this is a PPR draft, 1 quarterback, 3 wide receivers is the format, 2 flexes, 2 running backs with a tight end spot. I actually made sure that I added one in because that's like a meme that I never do it. But yeah, anyway, so I'm going to start the draft here. We got Drew was the first one in the chat here. Let's go. What's going on? Adam says, I'll go ahead and get the like started. Yes, of course. If you guys enjoy the stream thus far, I know we haven't really done anything yet, but hit the like button. We definitely appreciate it. Yep. Jay Full, hey guys, what's up? Alex got the last spot at the 12. Love to see it. I think when we randomize, he's picking up 4 here. El Chapo, hi from Germany. Guten Tag.
How you doing?
Y'all are going live on my day off. You love to see it. Half PPR, Kelsey or Bateman in Dynasty. Bateman, not close for me.
Yeah, easily. Not even.
I mean, like if you're in a position where like Kelsey is going to absolutely put you over the top, you're going to win a championship with Kelsey. I don't hate it mid-season going after a guy like Kelsey, but I would not give up a piece like Bateman to do it.
Agreed. I focus primarily on DraftKings. I hope they open a few more smaller contests for the season. I'm going to feel that's some big baller mentality. I respect it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Give me Bateman there, burner. 108 to 111 is where I've been all draft season, both redraft and Dynasty. Yeah, it's not fun. Also, you said it.
I don't mind it in Dynasty being at the 108 to 111 area because sometimes you can get an elite QB default to you there, but
you said it as a 30-minute timer, not a 30-second timer.
Oh, did I? Okay. Well, I should probably. Can I pause the draft and change that? Yeah, I always
go to draft settings.
There's no shot that I'm not going to mess something up.
Go to general settings and then go to There you go.
There we go. All right, we got a 30-second timer now. We got to resume the draft. This is just classic, and Patty Mills auto picks. Nice.
Oh, nice.
Just saw a notification. Murray and the Cardinals agreed on an extension. Yeah, I did also see that as well. For those of you guys that aren't following along on TikTok, I'm going to be doing, or me and Danny, depending on how we divvy it up, we'll be doing recaps of like all the news that comes out because, we got some teams that have reported for training camp. Next week, everybody's going to be reported for training camp. So it's hard for us to just talk about all the news on YouTube videos. So we'll put out like a minute TikToks probably daily, recapping all the news and the stuff that comes out. So I'm actually on the board right now.
Yeah.
I'm going to go to Adams.
You actually called it out, by the way. Jamar Chase did indeed somehow fall to me at 108.
Yeah, that's why I said the 108 is not terrible because I know the guy who picks 108 in my home league is like, I think Chase is going to fall to me based on what we know about the picks ahead of him. So I think that's, not a bad spot. If you get Chase to fall to, you should be able to get a great player in the second round.
Absolutely. Hope you're well. Appreciate that. Holler ETN this year. Give me Travis Etienne.
Yeah, I'll take ETN there.
Yeah,
unless we see something out of Breece Hall like in the preseason where he's just like full-fledged bell cow usage, does that change your opinion at all? If Breece Hall is just like the absolute workhorse from the beginning week 1, would you rather have Breece Hall at that point?
I mean, I think he's got a case because, I mean, realistically, I kind of talked about it with you, but I'm planning on doing a video where I'll look at and try to project what 2023 first round could look like. And I mean, the profile of a guy like Breece Hall, if he does smash this year, he could be looked at as a top 12 option next year. So, I mean, the main concern about him is does he get the workload right away as opposed to, any question marks with his talent level. But yeah, either way, I'm on the clock here. It is kind of an ugly board comparatively to what I would have wanted, though. I do like. Is CD Lamb gone? Yeah.
Yeah, he's gone.
I'm going to go with Debo in a full PPR. Him and
Yeah.
Evans actually like fucking close.
Yeah, not bad. Breece Hall is going to be a guy that I think is going to move way up or way down in ADP, from where he's currently going. Because I think if you can get some exposure to like 5th round Breece Hall or whatever on Underdog, we get into training camp, they're talking him up as like the bell cow. We get into this preseason, he's being used like a bell cow. His ADP is going to climb to like the 3rd round. And I mean, both of us think this is like an ascending offense with a solid offensive line. If Breece Hall is getting great workload for a guy that we know can handle a workload like that, he's going to be, really, really solid, I think, this year in fantasy. What's
confirmed? Kyler Murray, 5-year, $231 million. $231 million. So
love to see it.
just
I have
just
some.
over 40.
That's
Just over
dope. I have
46
some
per year.
Kyler shares in Dynasty, and I also have a lot of Marquise Brown too. So I'll definitely take that.
Yep, that is wild though. Damn.
What a great start for Alex McAdam, Christian McCaffrey,
Yeah,
Javonte Williams.
that's
Dude,
insane.
It's actually, I can't remember a year where having a top 3 pick was just so much better than having other picks. Like, to me, it's just not even close.
And that would be the main argument for 3rd round reversal, right? Because I mean, given how advantageous it is getting access to a McCaffrey and then being able to swipe in on a Javonte and one of those wide receivers.
That's just because Javonte's going too low. That has nothing to do with like Javonte should be going, at the 1-2 turn.
I consider him my pick, but in a full
I would have
PPR,
picked him if Barkley wasn't there. I would have dead ass picked him.
The reason why I went with Debo in a 3 wide receiver start full PPR, he's just like, I think he's got potential top 3 overall upside of the position as well.
Yeah, Brock with a fucking ludicrous 3 wide receiver start too with Kupp, Evans, and Higgins. That is a phenomenal start in a full PPR.
Yeah, that's nuts.
I set the clock to 30 minutes. CMC Cup debate for me at 2 is tough. Yeah, it's definitely tough in a full PPR. You give kind of lenience to both guys because they're both going to be really, really involved. I still probably go Christian McCaffrey over Cooper Kupp, even in any kind of wide receiver heavy scoring format. I just think CMC can be such an advantage at that position.
Yeah, no, I see that as well.
Duncan says, "What up?" or "Word up?" He says, "Kyler just got a massive extension." Yep, I know CMC ceiling is insane, but so is Kupp's. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Guten Tag is gonna say that. I maxed the $5 last year. It went horribly. Yeah, dude. Didn't Flet max the Millie Maker week 1 too?
Yeah. Also, a little side note here. I'm on the clock. I'm getting the Fat Lenny 260-pound discount. I'll take him at the end of the 3rd round.
Yeah, if Lenny's gonna fall that far, that's pretty insane. I'm kind of pissed that you picked ahead of me because that would have been a fucking absurd start getting Adams, Barkley, and and Fat Lenny. So I'm on the board here, wide receiver wise. This is why I don't really like picking at the end of the 3rd round. Like I like Michael Pittman. I really like Michael Pittman this year, but there is a drop off between Michael Pittman and some of the guys that went in the early 3rd round.
I've actually risen Pittman on my ranking. So he was, I believe, my wide receiver 14. He's actually in my top 12 now. And it's just pretty simple to me. I mean, we saw the mini breakout last year. We do have a relatively decent upgrade in terms of getting rid of that volatility week to week with what Matt Ryan will offer as opposed to Carson Wentz. And as we've seen, I mean, I don't like to talk about target competition in Dynasty for the most part because it's not really as relevant in terms of his talent. But in redraft, I mean, if we're looking at a guy that can have a Allen Robinson-like ascension where it could be an even better offense, even better quarterback situation than what we've seen from a prime Allen Robinson. Like Michael Pittman's got wide receiver 5, wide receiver 6 in his range of outcomes.
Yeah, exactly. I think it definitely makes sense. I just Keenan Allen, T. Higgins, Tyreek Hill, AJ Brown, Mike Evans type of guys. There is a difference to me in my mind between those guys and Michael Pittman, just from like a weekly ceiling perspective. I think Pittman's going to be great. Like by the end of the season, I think he's going to have like a top, 8, top 6 overall ceiling, but I don't think weekly wise he's going to give you like massive weeks. I think at PPR he's going to be great, probably only going to score like 7 or 8 touchdowns max, though. I don't think he's going to have like a double digit touchdown ceiling like what we can expect from Evans and AJ Brown and those guys.
Yeah, no, I feel you. Overall though, looking at some of the teams, we also got Wyatt hitting that 0 RB. You love to see it there. We'll see if he sticks to structure here. Yeah, he's going full 0 RB. You love to see it.
Yeah, Kittle at that pick makes a lot of sense. And I mean, I pick at 111 in my home league, and that's, I mean, a good starting point to go off of for sure. And I'm sure he probably wanted like maybe one of those running backs, ETN or Hall, to fall back to him, and he might have gone with like a hero or something. But yeah, when the value just peels off the board like that, you definitely want to stick to your guns there. So I'm kind of pissed that Terry McLaurin just went. I kind of wanted him there, but I'm going to probably go Mike Williams here unless I'm going to look around the other positions. See, I mean, like James Conner at this point, I don't hate. Like, I don't like when he's like an early 3rd round pick like he is on Underdog, but at the 4-4, I don't think he's terrible. I also, but I'm not super, super excited about taking James Conner until like probably the like late 4th round. So I'm actually going to go with Mike Williams here and stack up, 3 wide receivers there and then a hero RB with Saquon.
Yeah,
Keeper question, 12 team. Oh, you're on the board. Sorry, go ahead. Oh,
I just followed it up with Darren Waller. Yeah.
Okay. Keeper question, 12 team Superflex, AJ Dillon or Sutton in the 8th. Already keeping Jamar in the 3rd. I'll probably go Sutton there.
Sutton, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, don't make that decision until you need to, because there's a chance that Dillon, is thrust into a big workload or something. If Aaron Jones is dealing with anything in the preseason, I would probably take Dillon, though.
Yeah, well, like Dillon is one of the interesting dead zone running backs that I actually really like because, again, you're probably going to get that dead zone floor appeal given a week-to-week basis. But obviously, the upside there is if, Jones misses any time or if Jones is more into a receiving role as opposed to a down-to-down role, like AJ Dillon from a size perspective, from a carry perspective, from an offensive insulation perspective, could amass top 12, maybe even top 5 numbers if Aaron Jones were to miss any time. So
I think we all know he'd be great if Aaron Jones goes down. My problem though with taking AJ Dillon is like you have to have Aaron Jones. Like you have to have Aaron Jones go down for him to be anything more than like I think he can be like a middling back end RB2 with Aaron Jones on the field. But like, are you going to be happy with that pick unless Aaron Jones gets injured? Like, I know Aaron Jones is 27. He's got a decent carry workload under his belt. He's likely to get injured, but we don't want to just take AJ Dillon in the 6th round just to say like he has to, step into some huge workload, which is why I've never really been in on guys like that. Like Kareem Hunt, another example in recent years.
I like Kareem Hunt,
a guy with like standalone value that has, a high ceiling, but at least Kareem Hunt this year, you're getting him like more so in the 8th, 9th round versus like previous years. I've never been in on Kareem Hunt because he was like a 5th, 6th round pick.
I'm glad you mentioned that. I'm in on, when I phrase that, I'm in on Kareem Hunt this year because his opportunity cost comparative to previous years is much less. Not to mention, this is probably the best case you can make where he's got the potential. Maybe he gets dealt before the season. Maybe Dearness Johnson gets dealt before the season. There's still a lot of ambiguity up in the air with Kareem Hunt. I still think he's a value, even if we knew heart set right now that he was going to be a Cleveland Brown going into the season. But you're still getting an upside case where if he does get moved and he does land in a situation where he could be a main running back, you're looking at a 3rd round pick. Easy. Maybe back end 2nd round pick in the right situation.
Right. And I just don't think the upside of taking AJ Dillon in the 6th round is worth the opportunity cost of just getting Madison, Pollard. I guess Pollard probably goes around where AJ Dillon does, but like Madison and Kareem Hunt and Ramondre, like I would rather just take those guys in round 9 because their cases are really the same. Like they all need an injury to be great.
Yep, definitely fair.
Yeah, 106 Jefferson's definitely a steal. Yeah, I definitely agree there. Kamara, no suspension incoming. I really don't know, man. Like I think we probably would have heard by now if he was going to get suspended, but I think they might be like spending all their time on the Watson suspension that will get the rest of them after Watson gets his.
Yeah, sorry, I'm just looking at the board here.
I don't know if that's how it works, but yeah, Elijah Moore, good pick there.
Yeah, I had to scroll down for him.
Yeah, I actually wouldn't. I mean, you guys might be surprised to hear this. I wouldn't have even picked Elijah Moore. There's a guy on the board that I think needs to go before him, and Allen Robinson. I think he has to go off the board before him. Okay, so I was totally out on Allen Robinson. If you guys were following the channel last year, I didn't draft him like anywhere. I had like 2 shares in all my underdog drafts because I thought he was super overrated. Everybody was like, 3rd round wide receiver, super safe, but like, why is he safe? His quarterback plays terrible. And it never mattered to that point in his career before, but he had more competition for targets with Mooney, with Kmet, with some of those other guys emerging. So I'm like, I don't think we can just make the case that this is the same old Allen Robinson. So I was out on him last year, but I mean, when you look at the peripherals this year, man, like it's so easy. He's going to get, less attention most likely, unless they play like a primary, like outside X corner or whatever that might shadow him and then Cup might go crazy. But either way, that offense was in the red zone more than any other team last year. And if Cup is going to get, doubled in the red zone or they're going to focus all their attention on him, then Allen Robinson could be a huge beneficiary of that. We saw Beckham score a bunch of touchdowns last year.
Yeah, and I mean, I could see that. The only problem that I have with Allen Robinson is obviously he's done most of his work from a volume perspective. Again, could he take that step, be an efficient wide receiver, have a ton of touchdown opportunity with that, elite offense? Absolutely. But I'm curious to see how his kind of role changes from being, the alpha 150, 160 target type of guy to playing a more ancillary role. Because I mean, that's the base of his production in the past, is being able to out target, out volume a lot of guys in his area.
I'm debating going Antonio Gibson here because I did rise on him a little bit, but I am gonna just stick to my board and go Rashad Bateman because I would.
Yeah, I kind of wish you went. I kind of wish you went Gibson.
But so I talked about Gibson in yesterday's video, and I can paint the picture for both scenarios that he is what everybody's expecting, or that he is a lot better. I'll let you make your pick, and then I'll continue.
Yeah, this is kind of gross now. Fuck, I was really hoping Bateman fell back. Let me just look at the board here. I don't mind Cooks here. I mean, you probably have to play the value game here. I'll get a Cook share.
Yeah, I also don't think I probably would have gone Burrow if I was you. You have Chase too.
I'm looking at the board, and I know that there's only 2 other teams that haven't taken a quarterback like behind me. So I'm kind of playing the game that maybe he falls back.
I don't think Burrow's gonna fall back to you personally, but I do think Burrow. The more that I look into Joe Burrow, the more I think he probably is closer to Jalen Hurts, Kyler Murray, Lamar Jackson than he is to Dak Prescott, Tom Brady, and Matthew Stafford. I think Burrow has a case to be up in that high tier with like Herbert and those guys. Because,
why though?
Well, I've already talked about the fact that I think the Bengals are going to go much more pass heavy. They already did towards the end of the season. They played a lot more up tempo. They passed the ball a lot more. And when you think about it like rationally, like the 3rd-year quarterback going in, they're going to give him the keys to the kingdom. He has all these great pass weapons to throw to. They added pieces on the offensive line. Burrow himself, I don't know if you watched the Full Send podcast when he was on it, but he talked about how he had more autonomy of the offense towards the season, towards the end of the season. That kind of made me think that maybe we're in line for like what we saw from Herbert his first year that he broke out at his rookie season, that like he took that next step up and they fully entrusted him to throw the ball all over the yard. And I think we could see that with Burrow this year. I think his passing ceiling is on par with, Mahomes, Herbert, like anybody else in the league.
I think I can make the case that like Dak, Stafford, Brady.
I like those guys at cost. Like if you want to tell me you want to take those guys, in the 8th, 9th round versus Burrow in the 5th, 6th round, I'm cool with that. I do think Burrow has a bit of a higher ceiling than those guys though, because I think when you just look at the weapons around those 3,
and that's
main passing quarterbacks, with Brady without Godwin maybe to start the season, you can make the argument Burrow's got better weapons. Same goes for
Burrow.
Yeah, I know. Same goes for like Prescott now without Cooper. He's just got CeeDee Lamb, Dalton Schultz, and maybe not even Michael Gallup to start the season. I trust the weapons that the Bengals have more.
Yeah, and I mean I could see that case. The only concern I do have is like people are basically using last year's efficiencies and saying, well, on projectable long-term volume, you take these efficiencies and you extrapolate, blah blah blah, you do this, you do that. The problem I have though is, yes, he had one of the more interesting seasons last year in terms of the depth of throw that he was throwing at and the actual touchdown rate that he was throwing at. But the biggest issue that people have year to year is saying, well, with increased volume, if he sustains this efficiency, you can't do that, because we see touchdown rate, we see overall, propensity to throw the deep ball vary on a year-to-year basis so often at the quarterback position. Heck, if you look at some of the best quarterbacks in the league, apart from maybe, Aaron Rodgers, their touchdown percentage on a year-to-year basis actually fluctuates a lot more than we want to make it seem. So that's the only concern I have, is that people may be using last year's splits for volume and saying, well, Joe Burrow threw a touchdown at this percentage. If he does that next year, he's going to throw 45 touchdowns. I just think that's a flawed process.
I do too, but like the other thing that can't be discounted is that he was working with a rookie wide receiver and a second-year wide receiver mainly last year, and we're both drafting those guys as top 12 dudes. So, And also we're not really in on, like, we are in on Mixon to some degree, but like if Mixon only has 11 rushing touchdowns last year, that's going to obviously positively impact the passing game and Joe Burrow. So there's also a chance that Burrow rushes in a couple touchdowns himself.
Definitely fair. So I'll get.
We already got to that there. What is a good percentage of a player that you want a lot of in best ball? So you mean like exposure percentage? I would say like you shouldn't have more than like 30% of a player. I think that's a little too overexposed.
I will say it depends. I would say from an overall portfolio standpoint.
It depends how late they're going. Because if it's a late round guy and you want to have 40% of them, I'm cool with that. But if it's like a mid to early round pick, I'd probably go no further than like 20, 25%.
And my other counter to that is that it depends how you're looking at it. If you're doing it right now and okay, this player is more than likely going to get steamed up as the offseason goes on here. I'm going to make my pick first and then I'm going to continue that thought. I'm just going to go with Brandon Ayuk.
See, and here's why I'm glad I didn't take Gibson, because I mean, like,
Get
I
him
get
back.
it, guys. I understand that we don't like Antonio Gibson because of Brian Robinson and JD McKissic there. I made the case for it in yesterday's video. The boom scenario does still exist, in my opinion. It's possible that, we see the Commanders coaching staff entrust him with a full workload now that he's healthy, because I think we are discounting the fact that he played through a very painful injury all last year. And most of the fantasy doctor people thought he wasn't going to play more than like 5 games. So, I mean, there's a chance that they entrust him with at least a full workload. Maybe it's a low upside pick, and we'll know more once we get into training camp, once we get into preseason. If we hear, like I said in yesterday's video, committee, it's a committee, everybody's going to be involved. I'm not going to take Antonio Gibson probably no matter where he falls, but I mean, it's a 7-9, man. Like, even if he gives me mid RB2 production, like the 7-9 is borderline okay at that point. Like, his mid RB2 production, like, you're getting into like, we're just getting out of the dead zone area. And Gibson, has a pretty stable workload, in my opinion.
Going back quickly, I'm going to touch up upon before I made my pick. In terms of exposure percentage, you mentioned overall portfolio, 30% is about the range. However, if you're fluctuating earlier to mid in the offseason, you have a couple guys you're at 35, 40% on. The only way I can justify that is if you know pretty much for certain given market tendencies that guy's more than likely going to get schemed after the offseason. So, for example, rookie wide receivers, second-year wide receivers, a guy like Trey Lance. If you want to be overinflated now, I'm fine with it because, again, if Trey Lance, if Jimmy Garoppolo gets traded tomorrow, Trey Lance goes from, an 8th, 9th round pick to potentially in the Jalen Hurts range. If tomorrow, okay, Garrett Wilson is shredding up camp, then Garrett Wilson's going to go from a 10th round pick to maybe a 7th or 8th round pick, which, by the way, I'm actually back on the clock here. Let me just take a look. Looking at the board again, a lot of quarterbacks following me here. I do like Kareem Hunt. I think I'm just going to lock in Kareem Hunt. And I mean, 8th round Kareem Hunt, I'm getting stable production on a week-to-week basis, especially in that receiving role. And again, as always, if he gets traded before the season started, or if Dearness Johnson gets traded before the season started, you're going to see the market adjust him to, if Dearness got traded, probably a 6th round pick. If Kareem Hunt got traded into a situation where he could be the starter, probably a 3rd round pick.
Right. And I mean, you're gassing up like stable week-to-week production with Kareem Hunt. I say to you, I got Antonio Gibson 8 picks before. Like, I know Antonio Gibson's a dead zone running back, but I mean, we're talking Kareem Hunt here. He needs an injury for him to be great this year. He needs an injury for a high ceiling. You could say the same thing about Antonio Gibson. If McKissic goes down, then he's going to be great. I think the fact that people were ready to draft Antonio Gibson as a top 5 running back the second JD McKissic signed to the Buffalo Bills should tell us something about what we still think about Antonio Gibson.
I don't necessarily know if I agree with that fully, simply with the fact that with Kareem Hunt, at least we've still seen, like, even last year in the first 6 weeks of the season, like, he was a top 10 running back in terms of points per game. That was sharing the field with Nick Chubb. So, I mean, I wouldn't say that he needs...
Give me a top 10 running back in the Jacoby Brissett-led offense for 8 games.
And that's a fair counter. However, I mean, you're still making a case that even at his floor, he's more valuable than the 30th running back on the board. And then you're still getting access to upside if, again, he gets dealt, or if Nick Chubb gets hurt, or if anything happens ahead of them. A lot of variables that we can't control, but we can influence the market with.
And I'll give you that, but the only thing I have is, like, I'm cool if you want to say I'll take 8th round Kareem Hunt over 5th round Antonio Gibson, but like, if I'm getting them 8 picks apart, like, I'm just going to take Antonio Gibson.
I think they're like one ranking in my rankings.
Game with my pick there, I went with Dallas Goedert, hoping that Matthew Stafford or Tom Brady would fall back to me, because I know a lot of people have quarterbacks already. So, I think Trey Lance actually on the board still too. Yeah, he is. Okay, who do you think what do I think Rudolph's role on the Bucs will be? I think he's going to be a part-time player, maybe a guy that catches some touchdowns here and there. I think Brate's probably going to be the guy that leads that team in snaps still. I'm not really excited about any of them, though. So if you're wondering, like, oh, is Rudolph the guy that I should be drafting now? I probably wouldn't draft any of them. I only get Brate in best ball in like round 15, 16, and I'm cool with him at that point because I think he'll have his weeks here and there, but I'm not excited from like a managed league perspective about any of the Bucs tight ends.
For sure. What's the most you would add to Renfro to get Elijah Moore, Drake London? 2024 first.
Really? You'd be willing to give up a 2024 first on top of Renfro?
Yeah,
I think that's probably fair. Maybe you want a 3rd back in return or something like that.
Yeah, probably you can finagle a little bit more, but
I mean, if you could somehow get that done for a 2, like, that's a great move. Like, if you can go Renfro and a 2 for either one of those guys, that's a phenomenal move. Even if it's like an early 2, I'm still cool with that. Or a 2 and a 3. that you could add. But yeah, I would say a 2 and a 3, or like maybe a 4 with a 3 back on the other side would probably be where I would put that value there.
Makes sense. And I think you know exactly who I'm eyeing here if he gets through Napster, which he should, looking at his team.
The board here. Are you going for Sky?
I'm going for Trey Lance here.
Oh, true. You didn't have a quarterback.
No, I played the ADP game knowing that everybody
I did too, and it worked out very, very well for me because I was able to get Goddard at 8.4 and still got Stafford at 9.9, and I was going to take Stafford at 8.4, so I'll definitely take that.
Yeah, and again, I'm not sure. How did Trey Lance grade, assuming he's the starter in your league-winning quarterback video?
Well, most of the stuff was just a lot of question marks, right? Because we don't know how good he's going to be. We don't know how much the team is going to throw. I expect that they're not going to throw a ton, but I think you can make the argument that as soon as we know Trey Lance is the starter, the outlook is virtually the same as it is for Jalen Hurts. Outside of maybe Jalen Hurts' team throws the ball more, like I don't see a huge difference between those two guys. And maybe, Trey Lance has more like growing pains as a player because it's his first year starting. But for the most part, I think the rushing will be enough to carry him. The fact that he has, probably one of the best top 3 weapons group in the league. Like you go a top 3 across the league, George Kittle, Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, there's not many better than that.
Yep.
And not to mention that they have probably the best offensive line in the NFL.
Yep. Wait, y'all get to snipe each other? Yeah. That's a little bit of an old question, but yeah, we're about like 20 minutes behind. Redraft trade offer Barkley and Judy for Etienne and Waddle. Which idea you want? Give me Barkley and Judy.
Yeah, give me Barkley and Judy there.
Keep Cup in the 3rd or Andrews in the 6th, full PPR. As much as I like Andrews, like in Cup in a full PPR 3rd round keeper is just so money.
Yeah, that's free. I wish I could keep both of those guys, man.
Literally though. What are you selling Kamara for in a PPR 1 quarterback dynasty? If you can somehow net a first for him, I'm taking that.
Yeah, maybe aim for 2024 if nobody's
probably
2023. Okay, so I'm back on the board here. This is like the rare occasion where I just have like my starting lineup filled. I have 5 wide receivers, 2 running backs, a tight end, and a quarterback. So I can kind of just go any which way at whatever position I want. I'm going to grab 1 more wide receiver before it falls off. I'll grab Tyler Boyd as some depth for my team. 3 wide receiver star, 2 flex spots. You need some kind of depth pieces. And I think in a full PPR, Tyler Boyd should have some value.
And my pick here is shooting for upside, knowing that as bad as the dead zone is for running backs, typically rounds 9 to 13 is where you find those ambiguous backfield league winners. The news I'm hearing out of New England with James White's hip injury is not fun, to say the least. So I'm going to go with Ramondre Stevenson again. Again, we know Damon Harris is not going to be used well in the passing game for the most part, given usage in the past. With Ramondre Stevenson, at least you're getting some upside where if he does become a lead back in that offense, he does have access to a receiving role, given the fact that he actually out-targeted in the games that they played Damien Harris last year. So 10th round, it's about appropriate range, I think, to take your dart throws on potential backs that can work their way into that top 15 if they, receive a role. And I think Ramondre, from a talent perspective, from a usage perspective last year, could make his way there.
Oh, that's my dude, man. I have so much Ramondre in underdog drafts.
I'm higher on him now. I will tell you that.
I believe Bolden's on the Raiders now too, right? So they're not going to need to use Brandon Bolden. That would be the easy transition, right? If they still had Bolden, it was like, okay, well, the James White's just going to go to Brandon Bolden, but they don't have that guy right now. Maybe they want to try and use one of their rookies that way, Pierre Strong or Kevin Harris. But like Kevin Harris is in the same mold as Ramondre and Damien, more the thumper type. Pierre Strong, while he's smaller, is not really a guy that did a lot from the passing game at South Dakota State. So maybe they want to try and use him that way. He definitely has some explosive ability, but I think Ramondre actually might be the most proven in that area.
Yeah, for sure. It was a relatively close call between him and Jones, but I spice it up. That's what I do here.
Yeah. Did you see that report that Ronald Jones might not make the team?
I think it's Fugazi.
I think it is too. And the person who wrote the article was like, I don't know what Ronald Jones does best for this team, because he's not a great pass protector and he's not a great pass catcher. I'm like, okay, well, he's also the best runner on the team. So yes, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. And not to mention, I mean, are we trusting Clyde Edwards-Helaire on the goal line after 20 total goal line opportunities in the last 2 years? Are we trusting Jerick McKinnon to be able to seize that role? The 5'9",
I think McKinnon will be the pass catching, third down, pass protecting back. But I think Clyde and Rojo are going to. I'm really not that in on this backfield overall, because I actually do think it's going to be like a weekly committee. But I'm just going to really take whoever's cheapest. So if Ronald Jones falls at a good value, I'm cool with that. Jerick McKinnon's a guy that I routinely spend my final round pick on as well. I've been probably most exposed to Jerick McKinnon of all 3 of these guys.
Yeah, and I like the Jerick McKinnon pickup too. I'm just out on Clyde at cost, because Ronald Jones 11th round or 10th, 11th round. If you can,
Yeah,
He's
like
probably
8-8 is really low for him too. I usually see him go in like the 5th, 6th round.
Yeah. And again, it's probably because it's an FSE influence stream. But with Ronald Jones, you're making the case that, okay, it's the James Conner path from last year. He's a 10th, 11th round pick in an ambiguous backfield who can get the goal line opportunity on what should be a really good offense.
Yeah, it makes a ton of sense there. My last 2 Dynasty drafts improved a lot. If you're watching, you guys, thanks for the help. No problem. That's what we aim to do here. Bush is going to steal round 4 acres from me, isn't he?
Yeah, we're a little late.
I didn't even make it to me. I don't even think.
No.
So you went with Darrell Henderson there. I'm on the board. I could go running back here. I like the 2 rookies, Rashad White and Algier. Jarvis Landry ain't bad, but I already have kind of like a Jarvis Landry type with Tyler Boyd. I'm going to go for what I would consider an upside pick. I'm going to grab Kenny Golladay here, and then I'm probably done at wide receiver.
He fell back.
Because I know I'm going to get some great, running back mid-round guys like here. So I'm cool just, punting another running back pick away. Plus I have a RB2 in my lineup, not just like a normal hero RB like I usually build out.
Yeah, I was hoping he fell back. That's a good pick there.
Yeah. I lost $14 on the Millie Makers, 750 in 736. Oh yeah, that's pretty wild. Isn't he? Sorry. Fat Lenny is the new cheeseburger Eddie Lacy. I don't think so. I think he's gonna be back in shape by the time camp starts.
Yeah.
What do you guys think of Cam Akers? He was likely top 5 RB pick last year. Now nobody's saying anything. I mean, I don't think you've been following this channel very much if you think nobody's been saying anything about Cam Akers. A guy in my league is selling, but I have Kupp and A-Rob on the team. I don't want to overstack. I mean, if you're going to overstack a team, the Rams are a fine team to do that with.
Yep.
It all depends on what you can get them for. If the cost is like fine to you, then I'm cool, having all 3 of those guys. If you want to move A-Rob or something at a later point in time, then I'm cool doing that. But yeah, Cam Akers is a guy that I have him well above consensus. I think in our redraft rankings manifesto right now, I'm going to look right now.
I'll check
us comparatively to the market, we are
very high.
4.5 spots higher than the market has him right now. We have him at 13, and the market has him around like 18.
Him and ETN are routinely those like 3rd, 4th round type of guys that I'm more than fine with taking the upside shot on.
Nice. And Algier fell back to me. Beautiful.
Yeah, and I'm gonna go wide receiver here. I like 2 guys, but I'm gonna play the ADP game. KJ Osborne's the guy that I've been kind of grabbing more and more as the offseason has gone on. I mean, the reports there, obviously Kevin O'Connell coming in, you're looking at a more 11 personnel type of look with obviously the contingent upside that when KJ Osborne was popping off last year, when Adam Thielen was out last year, KJ Osborne was popping off and was showing out well as a young player. Obviously with Adam Thielen, an older player with injury concerns in the past, if Thielen were to miss any time, you could look at the Vikings as potentially a top 10 to 12 level offense. Obviously, we know Jefferson's going to get a share of the targets, but after Jefferson, I think it's pretty much wide open. And betting on a guy like KJ Osborne, again, a 23, 24-year-old player who showed out last year to earn more of a target share as the year goes along, I think it's a sneaky bet to make in the 12th round. I also consider Jalen Tolbert. I think that's a good bet. Obviously, with Gallup set to be on the shelf for the first few weeks, and all reports showing that apparently Tolbert has been showing out thus far. I think Tolbert, after CeeDee Lamb in that Dallas wide receiver core, I would rather bet on the rookie 3rd round pick wide receiver than really the journeyman room across from him. So I don't mind that.
Yeah, James Washington. I've seen him get some like buzz or whatever. I'll just take Jalen Tolbert. Jalen Tolbert is like an older prospect too. So there's a chance that he's just like more mature, understands football better. He played at South Alabama for like 5 years. So he probably just has a lot of playing experience. So it wouldn't shock me if he gets out to like a decent start, if he's forced into like an outside role to start the season.
No, I dig that too. I also really like the Khalil Herbert pick. He's one of my go-tos in these drafts.
Oh, yeah.
Like in general, we saw last year the opportunity share that he commanded when David Montgomery was on the shelf. Obviously, with David Montgomery already paying the price for the volume right now, with Khalil Herbert, you're getting comparable volume if Montgomery misses any time, but at 12th round opportunity cost as opposed to 4th, 5th round that Montgomery, 410 opportunity cost that he got here.
There's a hive of like Khalil Herbert's actually the better running back people on Twitter. I've seen a lot of people say that. I mean, it makes me feel pretty good because I had him as a top 7 running back in the 2021 draft, and him and Elijah Mitchell were my RB 6 and 7. I had them both over like Trey Sermon and guys like that. So I mean, it feels pretty good from a talent evaluation standpoint that I hit on those guys because the one thing you can't deny about Herbert, you can say, oh, he's probably not going to be involved unless Montgomery gets hurt, but he's a good player. You saw it last year when he was on the field.
For sure.
My favorite spot is that mid-first where I can get Chase so that I'd be guaranteed round 2 Javonte, then take Pittman, Keenan Allen, whichever wide receiver falls to round 3. Yeah, that definitely makes some sense. Looks like I'm building a best ball team right now. What is Brock
Same.
got?
Yeah, mine is very best ball-esque as well.
Yeah, Cooper Kupp, Mike Evans, T. Higgins, Marquise Brown, Kyler Murray, nice little stack there. A.J. Dillon is his first deviation at running back. Adam Thielen, Zach Ertz, Robert Woods, and he gets Rojo, Gainwell, Singletary. Makes some sense for sure. Christian Kirk, honest take. I think he's probably, where did he go in this draft?
Seventh, eighth?
Eighth round. I think that's probably about where he should go, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think 8th, 9th round, I'm cool with him at that point. I would rather have Tyler Lockett and Russell Gage over him, but I think, and probably Kadarius Toney as well. But the rest of those guys, I would rather have Christian Kirk than Christian Watson, Chase Claypool, Robert Woods.
Speaking of Jags receivers, I took the one that I mean, Christian Kirk obviously has a better chance to be the one on that team, but I don't think a 5-round discrepancy should be the case there, because Marvin Jones showed out last year. He showed that he can be that X-boundary type of style wide receiver that Trevor Lawrence needs in this offense. And realistically, even if Christian Kirk is, the main number one there, getting the number 2 for what could be a potentially improved offense year 2 of Trevor Lawrence at 13th round opportunity cost, I'm taking every day of the week.
Yeah, I also think one of the more underrated parts of fantasy drafting in the late rounds is drafting guys that are going to hold value to start the season. So I almost went with Raheem Mostert there, because I do think to start the season, Raheem Mostert might have some trade value on the open market.
I prefer Sony.
I do too, but I think Raheem Mostert might be the type of dude that gets out to a hot start in week 1 or whatever, and then maybe you can sell him in part of a package deal to upgrade at one other position.
And again, I don't want to make this a comparison because it's kind of, a played out one considering the fact that Chase Edmonds was on the Connor team last year, but maybe Sony Michel could be this year's James Conner.
Yeah, I mean, you've been saying that, so we definitely get it. I'm gonna grab Raheem Mostert with my last pick here and see how it goes. DK versus Kyler was really tough for me. Yeah, Kyler at that point, you got him in the 6th round, I believe, right, or 5th round even. I have all those quarterbacks, those guys that are like Justin Herbert, Kyler Murray, Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts. They're all ranked inside my top 45 overall players. So I'm totally cool if people want to take those guys at the early 5th round portion. But the nice thing about them is that 1 or 2 of those guys, usually it's Kyler and Hurts, can fall to you at the 6-1 or whatever if you're picking at the turn.
Yep. Here, let's catch up on some comments as well.
Brock's first 5 picks is a killer.
Yeah, he killed it.
A bunch of great players there. What's better for competing? Hunt, Gage, Crowder, or Christian Kirk, Claypool?
Probably the Hunt, Gage side.
Yeah, I would say I would rather have Hunt than anybody else. Kirk and Hunt is pretty comparable. So is Gage and Hunt, Gage and Kirk.
Agreed.
So I'll take the Hunt, Gage, Crowder side. I don't think Crowder is going to be much of anything, but I think just the 2 for 2 kind of balances out there.
Well, the bull case is there. You're getting access to a slot target on the Bills offense. Maybe Davis can take that step. Yeah, I don't mind that as a throw-in.
Yeah. So who do I keep? 4-man keeper, Justin Jefferson, Cooper Kupp. Geez, I wish I had this problem. I mean, if you just keep 4 of these players, I would go Justin Jefferson, Cooper Kupp, Jamar Chase, and Najee Harris.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Hero RB with those 3 wide receivers. Jesus Christ.
Wait, Jefferson, Kupp, Chase, and Harris. Yeah, that would be nuts.
I mean, maybe you want to go Kelsey, but I think all the running backs will probably get snatched up by other keepers if there's 4 keepers. So I'd probably go with Najee.
Dude, you literally have literally 3 of the top 5 picks, and then Najee's also
ranked as a top 10 pick. So
yeah, that's nuts.
I mean, even Kelsey's a top 15 pick. So pretty wild. That's a great problem to have. Jefferson, Kupp, Chase, Najee. Yeah, definitely.
Can you only have one of them? Oh, okay, they're talking to each other. Wait, I'm 170 drafts deep, and I think my highest exposed player is 25. Yeah, that's about a reasonable number, I'd say, Devin. Danny's Hero RB, appreciate that, brother. Hero RB this season is probably a good strategy. Yeah, I definitely agree.
I went full hero as well, but I deviated from it because I saw the value on Gibson. That was the only reason I went away from it.
Yeah. I think that type of build you do depends on your draft pick. If you have the 101, Hero RB is probably solid. If you have pick 110, Hero RB probably isn't. I would agree, though. I will say Saquon Barkley is going to probably end up getting himself into that 1-2 turn area. If you want a hero with Saquon Barkley, I'm more than fine with that.
I'm cool heroing with Swift and Javonte too, to be honest.
That's fair. Traded DJ Moore for ETN, and yeah, I think that's more than fine. Getting 3 seconds basically to move from DJ Moore to ETN, I think
ETN and DJ Moore are probably about equal dynasty assets on par too.
70%. Yeah, that is too high there, Adam.
I mean, I love Hollywood this year too, so I don't think the player is too bad that you have 70% of, but 70% is a little high.
Drew, this is an interesting question. We actually have a video coming out on Friday that will basically give you all you need to know in terms of, the hero and bimodal structure in terms of what you should be targeting. But I would agree with you that you don't necessarily have to make the running back your first pick in a hero RB type of build. Because if you get access to a guy that you can make a relatively solid case for being a 20 plus point per game back in his high range of outcome, I would still consider that a hero RB.
Right,
It's
and both of us did that with not
Yeah.
our first pick, right? Because I took
Yeah.
Barkley. Like, just ignore the fact that I took Gibson, so I just passed on him. But Barkley and Fournette, I'm cool running a hero with both of those guys. If you can get either of them in like the second or third round and build out your wide receiver core and all that kind of shit. After that, I'm still cool running a hero with guys that you get in the second and third round at running back. I would say probably one of your first 3 picks needs to be a running back. Yeah, you only take one of them probably, and then you don't hit another running back until like round 8, round 9. Unless Antonio Gibson falls to the 7-9, which I think is a little egregious.
Should have taken Gibson over Thielen. In hindsight, I assumed Edmonds, Pollard, and Hunt would fall back around. I personally would have just went with Thielen.
I would have gone Thielen over Gibson, though.
Thanks. Yeah, and like pick 10 Adams or Diggs, and then mix in the second, then hammer wide receiver. Hey, fellas, I got loads of first and seconds over the next 2 years. Would you give up a high 2023 second and unknown? Yeah, I would go after ARSB for that.
Yeah, I'm
that
cool
price.
2-2s for ARSB.
Should have punted quarterback in hindsight. Yeah, you're still looking good though.
Honestly, man, like I'm 100% fine just getting an elite quarterback this year. I think
easily.
I painted the picture for it in Tuesday's video, the league winning quarterbacks. Like the ceilings that these top guys have are just not even remotely close. Even like Kirk Cousins, Derek Carr guys, like I like those guys this year, but their ceilings are like they don't hold a candle to Kyler Murray.
By the way, did you see that picture of Bryce Young next to Mina Kimes? Like even if she was on heels, like she's not that much shorter than him, and she's listed at 5'2". Like even if she's wearing like 4-inch heels, he's probably got like 4 inches of height on her.
Yeah.
So he's probably like 5'9", 5'10". I'll send it in the chat, but either way, let's start up another draft.
I probably can't run another one.
You can't?
We'll just finish out these questions and then we'll
Fair.
head off of here. Paxton says, glad to catch a stream. Yeah, no worries. Appreciate it. Been a while since I caught you guys live. Hope all is well. With next year in mind, how do you feel about a Najee, Brees, Bijan running back trio and punt on Chubb? If you're asking, like, get rid of Chubb, is that what you're saying? Punt on. I don't know what you mean by punt on Chubb, but I love those first 3 guys. And if you're talking about like Dynasty, yeah, get rid of Chubb. If you can make that happen. Tell me I'm an idiot for having way too much AJ Green and Kendrick Bourne. I mean, those guys are late round guys, and I like both of them, so I'm cool with it.
Why am I in on AJ Green this year?
Dude, I don't know.
Oh my
God.
God.
First 2 years of our channel just ripping on AJ Green. Like now suddenly he's like a fucking value. It would be like if Juju was like a 16th round pick next year and we're like in on Juju.
Oh God. And then we just have all the comment section roasting us for being in on him.
Yeah. KB decent though. I just think Rojo can get the goal line work, face forward. 15 touchdowns is probably a little high of an expectation, but I think he could score like 9 to 11 or something like that. Pick 3 in a full PPR. Cup 2nd, Kamara 4, Debo 6, Waller 10, St. Brown 11. So there's a keeper question, I'm assuming.
Cup and Debo are locks.
If Kamara doesn't get suspended, I think he's probably the other one.
Yeah, I agree. If he does get suspended,
though, I'm cool going with Waller the 10th.
Yeah. I figured AJ Green in the 6th. Yeah, no, literally though.
The problem with the Cardinals though is that they're never going to move their wide receivers around. So AJ Green will be set on the outside fucking right side of the field all season, every play.
Yep. Good afternoon, Exchange family. Appreciate that fantasy condo. Good afternoon. Osborne, Tolbert, Marvin Jones. Love to talk about these guys. I got a few darts on Mostert and Michelle in different leagues. Yeah, I personally prefer Michelle, but I do see the case for Mostert given the fact that when he is healthy, he's still a relatively efficient runner that fits that scheme to a T.
I feel like we don't spend a lot of time talking about sleepers relative to like other fantasy people because, I mean, we kind of acknowledge that sleeper hit rates aren't that high. Yeah. So we'd rather spend time over-analyzing the
relevant
guys. And then we get to the sleepers. Yeah, just pick whoever you kind of want at that point. But I do like all of the guys pretty much that he just mentioned there as guys that I'm spending late round picks on.
I dig it, Corey. I dig it. Let's go.
Yeah, I mean, you got to make sure that like whatever the board that falls to you is conducive to 0 RB because that was one of the big mistakes that we talked about in the 0 RB strategy videos that you don't want to just say like you want to keep it in mind. Like maybe you could go 0 RB, but you don't want to be like, hey, I want to do a 0 RB, so I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
Because if you get on the board at like 111 and like fucking Austin Eckler's on the board, then you probably should not go 0 RB.
Agreed. I have 100% Naheem Hines a 3-draft sample. He's your dog, bro. He's your dog. What is DJ Moore's ADP? I've seen that he could be a top 5 wide receiver in Dynasty. Do you think that's true? Top 5, maybe a little bit lofty, given the fact that
he would need a significant quarterback upgrade to ever have a top 5 ceiling in Dynasty. The only way he would be able to do that is if like we got Aaron Rodgers signing to the Panthers next year, or like, you know, even with one of these rookie quarterbacks, I don't think you can really count on that. Like if Bryce Young or CJ Stroud goes there, like, which is definitely possible. I think they could be bad if you get one of those quarterbacks. I think it would be a little lofty to say, because he'll also be like 26 next year, right? So
that's my problem.
At that point in time, are we going to really rank a 26-year-old wide receiver top 5 in ADP if we still have Jefferson and Chase and you know, some of the other younger guys? Maybe Drake London steps up this year, and we have all these young dudes.
The problem with DJ Moore, as much as I love him, he would need probably a Stephon Diggs level season in the next 2 years to justify a top 5 Dynasty wide receiver ranking. Because again, like even if he, you know, does really well, he's going to be 26-year-olds this upcoming year, 27 years old the year after. And as we know with how the market behaves, even if he has a productive season relative to the younger players, even if a 22-year-old has a 1,100-yard season and DJ Moore has a 1,500-yard season, the market's going to prefer the 1,100-yard 22-year-old because that's how it behaves.
I think he has to have like a Deebo Samuel level season this year to be able to get top 5. And that would, I mean, if that happens, like that, the only way for him to do that would be if Baker Mayfield was just in fact injured last year and he's actually a great quarterback. Which I don't think is true.
Yo, what's up? My boy's been super busy the last few months. Haven't got a chance to tune in. Hope y'all been good. Appreciate that, Figs. Appreciate that.
Yeah, hopefully everybody with training camp opening and all that kind of stuff, everybody starts to come back and get those views up, get those likes up, get those comments up. We definitely appreciate you guys. Feels like punting on quarterback worked out decently. Getting Kirk in the 15th or the 14th round. Yeah, dude, Kirk Cousins in the 14th round is actually absurd.
Yeah, that is fantastic.
Like if you're asking me, would I rather have Stafford at the 9-9 or Kirk in the 14th? Like there's a difference between those two guys, but it's not that big.
Yeah, no, I agree. I just think the Brady Evans stack can be the best. Yeah, no issues there. Both are fantastic.
If I had to make a bold take about like a stack in fantasy being really, really good, I think the first 6 games, Kyler and Marquise Brown stack could legitimately be absolutely league breaking. Like Marquise Brown might be like the best receiver in fantasy for the first 6 games.
And obviously I'm biased, but I mean, like if the offensive focus does shift in the 3rd-year CD, given the fact that Amari Cooper is gone and Michael Gallup is on the shelf, like what's stopping that level of ascension other than, you know, game plan?
I put out some pro Dak propaganda. I'm surprised you didn't like retweet it and go, love to see it. Because Prescott had his lowest rushing totals of his entire career last year coming off the ankle injury, right? So there's a chance that, you know, he gets back to his like normal Dak rushing. Like it's not, you know, great obviously, but it's something. And we've all talked about like, you know, the regression from the Cowboys defense. If they stop taking the ball away at will, then there's a chance that Dak could be really, really slept on as like an elite quarterback potential this year that people are able to get. Like, where do you go in this draft? In the 8th round, 7-12? Like, I think Prescott, if you could make the argument, like I'm sure you probably have it ranked this way, that like, why would I take Burrow in the 6th round when I can take Prescott in the 8th?
I have Dak slightly higher, but
I don't think you should. I personally don't think you should have him higher straight up, but I think at cost, I'm cool with it 100%.
The reason for me is that I think their touchdown rates for the most part are going to be comparable.
I wouldn't say that's
this upcoming season.
The weapons that the Bengals have versus the Cowboys,
and that's fair.
Plus, the Cowboys, while like both teams like seemingly like to run the ball, I think the Cowboys are like they like to run
inside the 5
a little bit more. And I just think that at face value, I think Burrow should be ranked over Prescott.
That's fair. However, again, as you mentioned, at cost, like if you can make comparable bowl cases, like, and again, that's honestly just our affiliation with loving the early quarterbacks this year. Because I mean, those top 10-ish type of guys, like even when I get to the Aaron Rodgers, Kirk Cousins range, like those guys are fine, but I don't think they have representative of that type of ceiling that a Dak, a Burrow, a Brady do comparatively as, you know, another pocket passer.
Right. I saw somebody tweet out today. I'm not going to name names, but somebody tweeted out like, what's the earliest you would take a quarterback in a redraft? And like all the comments were like, I never draft a quarterback before like round 10, round 12. I'm like, dude, I hope that everybody has this attitude because I think people are just like, yep, late round quarterback works. I'm never going to question it. It's like, okay, well, it works the reason it worked in the past was because everybody was taking quarterbacks early. It's the same thing with what we said about the mistakes with 0 RB. The reason 0 RB can work is because everybody's taking running backs early. But if everybody is sharp and takes them appropriately, then 0 RB can't work. It's the same thing for late round quarterback. If everybody's going to fade quarterback, then you taking an early quarterback is actually a good thing because you're going to get an elite ceiling guy at a discount.
Yeah, and I mean, comparably, for the rest of your league mates, if they're looking at it like, oh, you took a quarterback early, but then he has, a 25 point per game type of ceiling, which you can make the case again, like 25 point per game is pretty lofty expectation for anybody. But you can say Lamar Jackson's done it before.
That have that kind of ceiling.
Lamar Jackson's done it before. Kyler Murray has that in his range of outcomes. If
Jalen Hurts, the first 7 games last year when the Eagles
23?
were passing, he had 6 games where he averaged 28 points per game.
Yeah.
Like it's pretty wild that many. There's I think Kyler has the same ceiling as Josh Allen too. Like with no cap. I think he has a 5,000 passing yard ceiling with 35 touchdowns and 800 rushing yards and 10 rushing touchdowns. Like I think we've seen at the beginning of the last 2 seasons, Kyler's been like bar none the best quarterback in fantasy.
Yeah, and it's funny with a guy like Kyler, right? Because he's been that, and you can make the argument that when all of those wide receivers are on the field, this is his best core that he's worked with throughout his career. Again, AJ Green showed last year he's not complete dust. Maybe he's not, 850 yards and 8 touchdowns or whatever he was last year, but him being the wide receiver 3 on this team. Marquise Brown showed last year he was a 145 target player for Lamar Jackson. He can definitely keep up. And obviously when Hopkins is healthy, he's still one of the most highly respected receivers in the NFL. If all those guys are on the field,
Mondale has some big play upside with his speed
as your wide receiver 4 too. Yeah. So I mean, and then again, we're not even talking about ancillary guys like Zach Ertz is a really, really good weapon. Maybe James Conner gets more usage in the passing game with Chase Edmonds gone. That offense can be fun, and I feel like we're kind of valuing them more so on their second half of the season splits than the first half. Even though I mean we should be somewhere in the middle, and that's kind of how I feel a little bit with Dallas too, because people are looking at the end of the season, looking how that finished. Those 2 offenses kind of had that same insane start to the year, slowly declining throughout the year, but I feel like they can shock, especially out of the gate, given how the market adjusted to them.
Yeah, I think you could probably make the case too that like the Cardinals' offensive line fell apart when Hudson went down. So the fact that Hudson's coming back, he's the center of the offensive line. Obviously, he directs everything and shit. And you still have a young quarterback with Kyler Murray, so I think he'll make a big difference there too. Dak or Russ, yeah, I'm taking Dak there. Dynasty or redraft, I'm taking Dak.
Yep.
Hey guys, I might be able to get Elijah Moore, Hawkinson, and a 2024 third for Pollard and Zach Ertz. That's a smash, right? Yeah, I would easily do that. I would do that for Elijah Moore alone.
That's what I was just about to say. That's easy. You'd probably need that third. Realistically, like you would probably need Pollard or Ertz and a decent bit. Probably Pollard, Ertz, and a first for Elijah Moore and Hawkinson.
Yeah, probably
2024 first.
Yeah, I would need Pollard, Ertz, and a second probably for Moore and a third.
Easily.
Yeah. The only person that can screw this up is Cliff Kingsbury. He could definitely. I don't know, man. I don't know what Cliff's gonna do, to be honest, because I think there's a chance that because they're so uncreative on offense. Like if you guys don't know this, if you weren't watching during the season, the Cardinals don't move their wide receivers at all. So when I would talk about like wide receiver cornerback matchups, like they would face the same corner every single play. Because their wide receivers, they'd align Hopkins on the left side, AJ Green on the right side, Christian Kirk in the slot. They didn't do anything with their wide receivers. And what I think Marquise Brown's going to do is be the slot guy. I don't think they're going to put him on the outside.
Yeah, no, I agree.
If Hollywood's over the middle, then he's probably going to get a lot of targets.
Yeah, because I mean, it's funny because although, Kyler is a short player, we've seen that he loves throwing the ball over the middle comparatively to, Russ is a short player and he never throws the ball over the middle, which is, it's kind of funny how that works, right? Because you assume, Russ doesn't throw over the middle because he's short, but I mean, and then you go out and see Kyler Murray, that's all he fucking does.
Yeah.
So
would you give up a high 2023 second?
We already answered that.
Yeah, we already answered that. Yeah, I would give that up for Amon-Ra, 0 RB with the 6th pick. Yeah, that should be a good spot to do it. You're gonna have one of those receivers on the board, presumably.
Yeah, especially, if Eckler works his way into the top 5 or Henry works his way into the top 5 and you get access to a Jefferson Chase type, like you're chilling there.
Yeah. Is Deshaun draftable in a 1 quarterback redraft? I mean, if you absolutely punt the quarterback position, he's your final round pick and he gets an 8-game suspension. And maybe I don't know if you're about to say this, if you can put him on like a suspension list or
reserve list,
IR or whatever, then yeah, definitely.
Yeah, if he's a reserve list, that's an easy pick in my opinion, because you're getting access to top 5 overall quarterback ceiling in double-digit rounds. If
Right.
you
If you
can just,
draft Kirk Cousins or Derek Carr as your first
yeah,
quarterback and Deshaun with your last pick or whatever, I'm totally cool with that.
yep. Kyler Hollywood, Brady Evans, Stafford Cup, so many good stacks. Yeah, I would agree with
Yeah, I
that.
think Hurts and AJ Brown's also gonna be awesome too.
Yeah, and then I mean,
I mean, Allen Diggs obviously
if
too.
if
Mahomes
Bateman
Kelsey
takes
will be really good.
if Bateman takes that next step, I mean, actually, you can just say
It'll be
Andrews
Lamar
and Lamar.
Andrews, but
Yeah, I was just
yeah,
about to say you can just say Andrews and Lamar. Yeah, I guess
yeah,
I was in a wide receiver frame of mind for some reason.
yeah. I that makes a lot of sense. I think he could be like a young T.Y. Hilton type of
I can see that.
season this year. Thoughts on Eli Mitchell this season and Jalen Hurts? I mean, I love Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts is a guy that I
Yeah,
think
Eli
has
Mitchell's an
has
interesting
upside to
one.
be one of the best quarterbacks in fantasy, quarterback 1 overall. Elijah Mitchell,
He's so dead zoney.
he's so dead zoney, but like where he went in this draft, 7-6, I'm not opposed to that. It's when he goes in like the 4th, 5th round, like he's probably going to in most people's home leagues.
Like I would prefer Elijah Mitchell. I know you don't have it ranked like this. I'd prefer Elijah Mitchell to Antonio Gibson.
I would rather have Gibson than Elijah Mitchell personally. I think
That's
the
where
workload is safer because we just know that fucking Shanahan can do whatever the fuck he wants whenever he feels like it. I feel more comfortable with Gibson's workload, but Mitchell's in a better offense, but we also have a rushing quarterback. Like it's just there's a lot up in the air. I think some people are taking it a little to the extreme with Elijah Mitchell, where they're like, I'm gonna just take TDP because he's gonna be the starter, and I'm like, I don't
no,
think that's
that's
what's gonna happen. I think Mitchell
the
will still be the starter there, but
the argument's always at cost.
yeah.
That's the problem with people. Like as soon as like you make an argument or you take TDP in a draft, people are like, oh, you prefer TDP over Elijah Mitchell? It's like, no, I prefer a 14th round Kyle Shanahan running back as opposed to the 7th round Kyle Shanahan running back. Obviously, Eli Mitchell, when they're both healthy, is probably going to be the lead guy there. But again, what if TDP has a Jeff Wilson like role where he'll have games where he bangs in 2 touchdowns, or he'll have games where he gets 15 carries? Like you never know with that system. So you're just taking the guy at cost at that point.
I would love to go back and research the highest drafted Kyle Shanahan running back the last 5 years and see if
Oh,
the running back that was drafted latest was the one that actually finished higher. Because I
I
swear to
think
God,
it
it's been
is. I
correct.
think it is. Because I
I
mean,
swear to
20.
God, it's been true. Like whenever Raheem Mostert or like Jerick McKinnon or whatever running back that they had there was going higher, it was always like the running back that went undrafted or the running back that was drafted later that finished ahead of them.
I think in the last 4 years, so 2021, obviously Elijah Mitchell. 2020, I think was Jeff Wilson.
Well, there's 2
2019 was
running
Raheem
backs drafted
Mostert.
ahead of Elijah Mitchell. It was Mostert and fucking Sermon that were drafted
So I
ahead of
mean,
Mitchell.
but that's what I mean. So Mitchell last year, Jeff Wilson, I think was the year before. Then you had Raheem Mostert the year before that, and you
And Breida
had
was one of the years, wasn't he?
2018 would have been Breda, yeah.
Yeah, it's
So
it's
like,
wild that's how I think just the overall sentiment of the 49ers backfield is just literally take the last running back,
or
which
just
is
avoid
it's
it.
probably Jeff Wilson this year actually, but if you want to go for just taking TDP, it makes sense too.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kyler signed a huge extension, has the offensive creativity of your average high school coach. Yeah, literally. He has the offensive creativity of like a guy that just picked up Madden and just runs recommended plays.
Yeah, literally though.
Thoughts on Barkley and Jones? So Saquon, I think, is the biggest value in
Lock.
drafts, and it's not even
Yes.
remotely close right now
I
because
agree.
I have him ranked as like my 7th or 8th overall player, and I got him at 2-4 here. I picked him probably 5 picks ahead of his ADP. Like he usually goes back here with Aaron Jones and Javonte Williams. And if you're speaking on Aaron Jones too, I think he belongs to go in that area. I just prefer Javonte, Barkley, and Fournette, so I don't end up with a lot of Aaron Jones.
I think his ceiling is being overstated because
I think it is
people
too, and people, I know Akash broke this down of like vacated production, how wide receiver
yeah.
vacated targets. Number one, they don't really mean anything to begin with, but number two, they definitely don't mean anything for running backs, and people are overstating the fact that Aaron Jones has these great games with Devontae Adams out of the lineup, and yeah, it matters, but at the same time, like it's happenstance. It was like a 6-game sample size.
Yeah, and I mean, I was talking about this with him in the DMs, but basically, like, it's infuriating because it's like you'll see like a TikTok or a YouTube short. Here are Jones splits without Adams, and it's like completely ignoring the fact that Aaron Jones was a younger, more efficient player at that time comparatively to what he showed last year, and B, he was averaging like a touchdown per game in the receiving game in that stretch in a 6-game arbitrary split. If people are honing in, this elite league winning upside off of that split, let them take him at the 1-2 turn. Let them take him in the early second. Because quite frankly, that also existed when AJ Dillon was not on the team. B, that existed when Aaron Jones was quite frankly A, the most efficient goal line runner in the league, and B, getting usage 23 inside the 5 carries in that stretch. Last year, AJ Dillon had more red zone touches than Aaron Jones. So if we're banking on this guy that's going to bang in a lot of touchdowns and get 90 plus targets, given this arbitrary split, I think you're in for a rude awakening.
Yeah, the ceiling I just don't think is that high with Aaron Jones. I think he has like a back end RB1 ceiling, and it's not because I don't think he's like a good player, and I don't think he's going to get more usage in the receiving game. It's just that he's like a 50-50 timeshare running back. Like that's why he's not going to be a top 5 running back.
And if he's not, 5.7 yards per carry, Aaron Jones with a ton of touchdown opportunities, similar to what Alvin Kamara has made his way with in the last few years, what ceiling are we projecting here? You're not getting the workload. You're not getting this Fugazi receiving split that people want to carry. And you're not getting 15 plus touchdown upside if he's splitting the goal line work with AJ Dillon. So what are we banking on for him to get a 20, 23 point per game type of ceiling that we expect from a running back pick that high?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy to me. I know, like I broke it down like in depth where like AJ Dillon was like running more and more routes as the season went along. So maybe the running back position as a whole sees more targets than they did last year. But I think AJ Dillon is capable enough that he's going to get some of those targets. It's not going to be like Aaron Jones is like career high in targets per game is like 4.5 or like 4.3. I don't think he's suddenly going to become like a 7 target per game running back. He'll probably be like a 5.5 target per game running back at his ceiling. And then also, I think, like you said, I think this team is going to run the ball quite a bit, and AJ Dillon's going to be a big part of that. Shanahan is like Belichick. He loves to take the randoms and start them big time. Thanks for the stream, guys. No worries. See ya.
Appreciate
Take
you.
it easy. Doing another draft. Now, we're probably going to head off.
Probably not, yeah.
For these questions here because I am starving and I got a couple other things I need to do today. Mac James says, oh, sorry, I didn't hear you the first time. No worries.
You good, brother?
Worries. You think I can get Mitchell for 2 seconds? You probably could, but I don't know if I'd be willing to give
I wouldn't pay that.
Yeah, if I can get him for 1 second, you're a contender. I'm cool with that. But
or 2 and a 3,
probably a little too high for me. Yeah, 2 and a 3 is fine too.
2 and a 3, or maybe like a 2 and an old running back, maybe like
what's Herb or Kyler and Christian Watson? Is this in Dynasty or in redraft? In Dynasty, I'm gonna take Herbert.
I'm gonna take Herbert in
redraft. Dynasty, I'll take Kyler and Christian Watson, but in Dynasty, I'll take Herbert.
If this was Herbert for Kyler in a 2023 second. How would
in Dynasty? I would rather have Christian Watson than a 2023 second.
Oh, okay, fair.
Unless it's like going to be like the 201 or something, I would probably rather have Watson.
That's fair. What about Kyler and Jahan Dotson?
I'd rather have Kyler and Jahan Dotson at that point.
Okay.
But
it's like right on that like splitting line there between those two. So yeah, it's a fair trade.
Yeah.
Both ways. But yeah, at that point, give me Herbert. If you can get Evans late second, that is my biggest deal right now. He's a 1-2 turn guy for me. Yeah, I dig Evans too. I dig Evans. Obviously, you're going to have regression Nazis every year. Like, his touchdown share is unsustainable. Like you can't expect them to score 15 touchdowns. And like, why the fuck not?
He's going to score 15 again this year.
It's so dumb.
The one thing I will say though is about his like touchdown shares, like there is no Gronk, and Gronk not being there does affect how attention wise, how teams are going to play Mike Evans in the red zone. Because if without Gronkowski on the field, they're going to really, really hone in on Mike Evans, and that'll probably make for some Leonard Fournette receiving touchdowns, some Cameron Brate touchdowns, some whoever other wide receivers. But if Godwin's out there, I think they'll be probably fine.
I was about to say that sounds like
Godwin's phenomenal in the red zone too. He just doesn't get a lot of targets down there.
I was just about to say that sounds like a Leonard Fournette bull case.
It does. And I really, really hope Godwin's on the field because I think Godwin is the key to this offense. Like when he's out there, the offense just plays so much better. I would rather Godwin be on the field for Mike Evans' sake than not be on the field legitimately.
Yeah. And again, Bush, this is going to be a little biased. Obviously, we're both going to have our sides here, but if Godwin is not ready for week 1 and if Gronk doesn't suddenly unretire, I'm really, really liking Cowboys money line in that game.
Yeah, I think they have a good win it at home.
It's gonna be fun though.
By the way, why is that game at home? Is that just like the way that it randomly split out?
Because I guess we played you guys in Tampa last year.
Right. Okay, I guess it's just
so like they always like switch it every year.
Oh yeah. Adam says I'm high on Najee this season. I think the bull case for Najee is that he just gets better as a player. Because I don't think much has changed about his situation. I don't think his workload's going to be much different. Yeah, the quarterback play might be a little better, but I think Najee getting better as a player would be the bull case for Najee Harris. If he has like some huge second-year breakout, it's going to be on the back of him becoming a better player and more efficient because he was really not efficient as a rookie.
Yeah, and because, the volume is all you want. Like the volume that he had last year, like you can't make the case. Like what? 3 other players, maybe, McCaffrey, Barkley, and Henry have that type of comparable volume projection at their ceiling. Like even Jonathan Taylor, as much as we love Jonathan Taylor, is not going to be that type of volume that Najee saw last year, given the fact that Najee is a legitimate high receiving total, high receiving game type of back. That JT, again, as much as I love him, he's probably going to max out 60 targets, like at his highest ceiling.
Yeah.
So like, I mean, it's still the Dalvin Cook case. I'm still taking JT over Najee Harris because of the talent level. But Najee Harris, sees that efficiency improve from 3.7, 3.8 yards per carry last year. Maybe he's in the low to mid fours. If he sees that touchdown share, maybe the offense is better under, Kenny Pickett as opposed to what we saw with the corpse of Ben Roethlisberger last year. Maybe he punches in a few more touchdowns. I still see a case where Najee, given that workload, can get to the 22, 23 point per game type of ceiling, which obviously, again, what we're looking for if we're taking a player that high.
Yeah, I think people underrate Najee's ceiling a little bit. I know some people will say the argument we make for Nick Chubb and Joe Mixon and some of the other, and Aaron Jones that we just made, he's a back end RB1. I could definitely see him finishing there, but I don't think he has a high ceiling. I think some people make that for Najee, and I don't think it applies to him because he was a rookie last year. He get a lot better as a player, and he has a receiving workload, and he just has a huge workload in general, and got very unlucky when it came to touchdowns. So
did you quickly? One thing I'll say too. Did you hear the report that apparently the Steelers aren't expected to bring either Deontay or Claypool back? They're not expected to resign either.
Oh, so George Pickens Hive is going to be really excited about that.
Cringe.
Yeah, I hope Deontay goes to a new team really bad because I have him in. I'm in 5 dynasty leagues. I think I have Deontay in 2 or 3 of them. I have quite a bit of Deontay Johnson,
which I mean, it's going to work out well for you.
Yeah. Nicholas says, "Can y'all do auction?" I've personally never been in an auction.
Never
draft.
been
I would
in an
love
auction
to be able to give people advice on auction, but I just am not qualified to do so. The one thing I will say about auction drafts is just if you think about it, opportunity cost at ADP, if you assign dollar values to ADP or something like that, I know some people have broken down their rankings that way. So if you think tier wise, there's not a difference between Joe Mixon and Cam Akers, and you have to pay $20 more for Joe Mixon, then it obviously wouldn't make any sense to do that.
You hold on to Dylan with next year in mind, having him possibly being the RB1. I don't mind, the opportunity cost of Dylan in Dynasty. For some reason, he's going.
He's a good productive struggle pick for Dynasty teams because I know you can flip him for a lot more, come January, February, March, if Aaron Jones gets cut or something.
Typically, you don't see a 23, 24-year-old running back with a higher redraft ADP than Dynasty ADP. But that's the case with AJ Dillon, even though you can make the argument that this year's not going to be his peak year. Next year's going to be when Aaron Jones is a free agent. So he's kind of like a market inefficiency running back where at cost, especially in productive struggles, as you said, if you're in a startup and you can get this guy in the 9th round, I'm more than fine taking him, expecting, okay, maybe he's going to be the RB23 in points per game this year. But if Aaron Jones leaves, that presents a big sell window where maybe I can get first round equity out of him, where comparatively a 9th round, 10th round startup pick, anytime you can project that maybe turning into first round equity in the future, you should be taking that.
Yeah, especially if, like I said, you're building a productive struggle type of team. I traded Kupp and Sanders for Judy Mixon in a 2023 third. I mean, you're getting a big upgrade at running back, obviously.
I'd want more.
Yeah, I probably would have wanted a 2 instead of a 3, and then that trade's probably a little closer. I just knowing what Kupp's value is from a contending standpoint or just on the open market, I think you probably could have gotten a little more than that.
And that's more so my own personal viewing of Mixon's dynasty value because it's very volatile. And again, if he has a slightly below average year comparatively to expectation, he's going to be a 26, 27-year-old running back who is probably now I wouldn't say maybe Dalvin Cook range, given the fact that we have a lot of concerns with Dalvin, but maybe he's a 5th, 6th round startup pick. And at that point, you sold out on Kupp. Yeah, Kupp is probably going to go down in value after this year, but comparatively to what you could have gotten from an appreciating asset standpoint, you probably could have gotten, what would you say, instead of Mixon a 2023 first?
Yeah, I would say if you would have went for a little bit more of an ambiguous running back like Akers, you might have been able to get Judy Akers and a first for Kupp and Sanders. You might have been able to get that because people aren't if they're not in on Akers or whatever the case is. But maybe I'm overrating that.
Well, even if this was Judy, a 2023 1 and 2, a random 2023 1 and 2, I would prefer that than Mixon in a third.
Yeah. What do you think I could sell Robert Woods for?
Third.
I mean, I think you'd be lucky to get a third for him. I don't think anybody's going to buy him. Maybe I would, if you have Robert Woods on like a tanking team, I would wait until the season, see if he's healthy. Because if he starts getting targets from Tannehill, then maybe you can squeeze a second round pick.
I was just about to say, like, maybe the type of move you could look for in the season is if Robert Woods gets off to a top 20 wide receiver start, maybe you can convince a contender into saying, hey, I'll give you Woods in my 3 for year 2. That probably would be the peak of his value.
2 for 1 package Woods and like another contending running back or wide receiver, and maybe go after like a young wide receiver that's having a rough time or something like that. If Devontae Smith isn't getting the targets or something, and you could grab like Robert Woods and Kareem Hunt and trade him for Devontae Smith, that would make some sense.
Yep. 6. Yeah, no, I agree there, Brock.
Yeah.
Go Bengals. Hey, there you go. Swift or Mixon, redraft and Dynasty. Swift in both.
In both formats.
Yep. With the new head coach, he should get more receptions. However, Steelers' offensive line is below average. Yep. No, I think those are fair assessments there, Adam. Trade Deontay to the Packers. Yeah, that'd be
I would fucking jizz my pants if that happened. I have because the funny thing too is that like in our listener league, I traded Devontae Adams away for Deontay and 2 2s. So if I got the new Devontae Adams and 2 2s for Devontae Adams, that would definitely be really, really beneficial for me.
What teams have multiple first round picks next year?
What teams have multiple first round picks next year? The Eagles have multiple ones.
Eagles. Okay, yeah, the Eagles are
the Eagles. The Dolphins, I think, have 2 1s. Those teams don't really need wide receivers at this point in time, though.
No, I'm just pointing out because somebody asked about what's it called? Somebody asked about Bijan, which the more I think about it, it's probably going to be the Eagles.
Yeah, it could be the Eagles, could be the Dolphins too. That would make sense for both teams. With McKinnon back, will CEH bust or have a great year? Nothing would surprise me more than CEH having a breakout season this year. I think that would be the thing that would surprise me the most of anything that could happen in fantasy football. I would be dead. Like I'd be like, okay, I'm dead wrong about CEH. Like, but it's completely talent related. Like if CEH has a breakout season, it's all him. Like,
yeah.
You can break down the peripherals all you want about CEH, but like realistically, his volume share has gone down the last 2 years because he's been terrible. So if he had some kind of breakout season, I would be dead shocked. So yes, I do think CEH will bust this year. I would not spend a draft pick on him before like round 9. By God, it's a redraft mock. Yeah, big facts.
Wait, one sec. Did you see
dream scenario team for Bijan is any team that's like pretty good with a lot of volume available. Eagles. So Eagles and Dolphins would definitely make a lot of sense for that.
The sneaky one that Brock kind of said, I don't think the Texans would be bad if they got a quarterback with their first pick, or Davis Mills ended up showing out this year and they got, another piece with their first pick. They used that Browns first, obviously with Watson suspended 8 games. Maybe that's probably going to be mid-table. They used, a top 15, top 20 pick with the Browns pick on Bijan, added to that offense. Like from a volume standpoint, like this guy's probably going to be a first round pick in 2023 drafts.
You know what would also make a lot of sense? Josh Jacobs didn't have his 5th-year option picked up. If the Raiders took Bijan Robinson in the first round, that would make sense.
It'd be such a Raiders pick investing in another first round pick.
It would. I would love it for Bijan, man. I could just see him. Can you just see it? I could see it. Bijan Robinson being a Raider, I could just totally see that.
That would be dope. Also, Brock, CH isn't even tall enough to ride roller coasters.
Facts. Traded Eckler for Saquon. I don't even need to read the rest of the trade. Eagles, Lions, Texans. Yeah, they all make some sense. Lions, probably not. I don't think they would draft a running back that high with Swift.
I think he was saying teams with multiple firsts.
Oh, yeah, true. Seahawks have 2 firsts as well. Wouldn't shock me if the Seahawks took Bijan. They're like, we're gonna run a Thunder and Lightning duo with Bijan. That would be horrible for.
I would cry, bro. And then they re-signed Penny as well.
Yeah, it'd be gross. I think the Texans get him with a first they got from the Browns if Watson misses 8+ games. It's possible. I also think too, the thing about Bijan and the clash coming up in general, we could see a shift. Like if a couple of these running backs, these older guys, start to take a downtick, like with Zeke, with maybe Aaron Jones, maybe Nick Chubb, maybe Joe Mixon, like some of these older running backs, maybe Leonard Fournette, James Conner. If some of these older running backs start to wear down, there's a possibility that one of those teams just draft Bijan Robinson and cut bait with their old guy.
I dig it. Also, Texas to Texans for that would be fun. What do you think of Deuce Vaughn in the NFL? Well,
the guy's got to gain at least 30 pounds before I even care.
That, and he's shorter than CEH, which
if he's 5'6", and he weighs 200, 205, then I think he has a role in the NFL. But the guy's like 170
Darren
pounds.
Sproles?
Yeah, like he's too small right now. Like, and fucking Mike Renner's going to rate him over Bijan Robinson PFF.
That was crazy.
I don't even know if it's Mike Renner. Somebody did. Might have been like Anthony Threesh or some shit.
What are his peripherals right now? So he's currently listed at 5'6", 170, bro.
Yeah, dude. Like the guy is like legit the size of me. Like,
he needs to gain 30 pounds just to be on the radar.
Yeah, exactly.
Like otherwise,
the guy's like Puka Williams level right now. Like he's too small.
Like he's smaller than Kyron Williams, which is saying something.
Yeah. Does Brock need a booster seat at restaurants? LOL. I already have Mahomes 3 seconds this year. Do I try and get Watson and trade off Mahomes? Not going to win this year. I mean, if you can would you trade Mahomes away for Watson in a first? Or would you need more than that?
Probably accepting a little too much risk.
So if someone offered you a 1, a 2, and Watson for Mahomes, would you do it? I think I would.
Projected.
What?
Where's the 1 projected?
Let's say it's a random 2024 first.
I need it 2023.
Really, eh? I'm
as much as I love Watson, it's tough.
It's risky. Yeah,
like realistically, right now, Watson is probably like.
I also, for what it's worth, too, I probably would not try and buy Watson once he actually gets suspended. Like with people now knowing like how often or how long he's going to get suspended for, I probably think the buying window is closed on Deshaun Watson. Like you should have bought him when there was complete uncertainty and we had no idea. The
one thing I wanted to ask you, like where would you say Watson's relative market value is right now? Market value, not where we have him ranked. Market value.
3 startup seconds, he says. He has 3 startup seconds. So should I try and get Watson and trade off Mahomes? I mean, I would just have them both.
I
just keep Mahomes. How did you get 3 seconds if you had your first?
He's using Watson to like with one of those second round picks. He's saying
and get hell. Yeah, I know, but not startup. What do you mean?
You're confusing me, brother.
Draft Watson with the second round picks. Is he in your rookie draft?
I am hella confused, brother. Please let us know because that's confusing. Yes, I am only 6'2", so I need the seat. Fuck you, Brock.
Unless he means like use all 3 2s to get Watson. Maybe that's what he's saying. Trade all 3 rookie 2s for Watson. And then
but then what are you giving Mahomes for?
Well, he's saying like, should I get a Godfather for Mahomes? If I just get Watson for 3 2s, maybe.
Okay, Zach, please clarify that in the comments because I am like
yes,
beyond.
So that's what he means.
Yes, okay, but he typed yes before you said that.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know.
Well, why don't you just trade the 3 seconds for Watson and have both?
That's what I would do if that's what you're able to do. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I don't trust PFF with running backs.
Why is he available in the draft is what I'm wondering.
To be fair, though, Brock, PFF had Javonte Williams as the best running back in the 2021 draft.
Wait. Why is Deshaun Watson in his rookie draft? Did someone drop him?
He's not. He's saying trade the seconds for... I could draft him in the draft, it looks like. Okay, so that's weird. Yeah, just draft him and keep both of them.
Yeah.
Other than
hard season. Yeah.
If you guys are fading tight ends in a 10-team Superflex tight end premium league, does drafting Mark Andrews, Goddard, Waller, and Freiermuth make sense for a productive show?
Guys are fading.
If guys are fading.
I mean,
I wouldn't draft all those guys. I'm cool drafting like Andrews and Freiermuth or Andrews and Goddard, but I probably wouldn't draft all of them.
I mean, like it depends how much of a value you're getting on them. Like if Waller's falling to the fucking like 7th or 8th round, sure.
Yeah.
You know?
Because he's a quarterback, Jer. That's why. That's the only reason.
Even though, he's not even going to be starting the year.
He's also like the only quarterback that's projected to start.
Yeah. He's on Watson's on waivers in his league, bro.
Oh, dude, like drop whatever you have to fucking do to get Watson.
Draft him.
Yeah, draft him 100%. I have Burrow, Deshaun Watson, and Pittman Jr. as my franchise building blocks with a decent amount of future draft capital. 12-team Superflex Dynasty. Yeah, those are some decent pieces.
I dig it.
Got two stud quarterbacks there. But Renner had Zach Moss over JT as his RB2 in 2020. Gross. Yeah, there's a couple like respected analysts that do some crazy shit at the running back position. Like Matt Waldman had Trey Sermon as his RB1 last year. I remember that.
Like, why though?
And he's like I have listened to his like running back breakdowns. He clearly knows what he's talking about. I know I had J.K. Dobbins RB2 due in part because Waldman had him RB1. and he was like, he just loved his like movement package and all that kind of stuff. And then he just like talks about Trey Sermon. I'm like, what do you see in Trey Sermon that makes him even remotely better than Najee Etienne or Javonte?
I mean, like it fully depends. If you only watched him at the end of the year and watched like that 3-game sample size, yeah, maybe.
Even
but, like,
then, man, like he still like looked like he was kind of like heavy footed and like didn't look like he had a lot of movement ability. Like he just looked like he was making people miss because they were bad tacklers.
yeah, no, I agree. It's like
Anyway,
watching like a Division 1 commit like playing in like well, I don't even know what the ratings are in high school, but like one of like the lower rated like leagues, and like
yeah,
they're like stiff arming these like 5'7" future accountants.
yeah, that's me. Anyways, so we're gonna head out of here. We'll answer this last question from Turner here. Just
Yeah.
traded CMC for Eckler and Connor in a non PPR dynasty. What do you guys think? Non PPR getting Connor, he's got some touchdown upside. Eckler, I think that's probably a fair trade, honestly.
I would probably just take the upside of CMC.
Yeah.
It's probably fair though.
Offensive rookie of the year. Honestly, I think this is the year that you take a random shot at like a high upside pick, like go for a receiver with like high odds because there's no clear favorite. Last year probably would have been stupid to do that because of all the quarterbacks, but this year I think it makes a lot of sense to just take a shot off the board.
I think I want to know what Garrett Wilson's odds are right now.
Yeah,
I
like
know
somebody like that, like Burks, Garrett Wilson, like one of these like random wide receivers would make some sense. Jahan Dotson, like just take a shot this year because there is no clear favorite.
Sky Moore.
But Brees would be the best estimate for me, I would say.
If Sky Moore's odds aren't overinflated because the KC offense, like
I bet he has pretty high odds.
But the bull case is there. Like if he emerges as the number one on that offense, like you're going to be insulated to Mahomes.
Yeah,
So, like,
exactly.
I don't mind that. Yeah, Brock said it too.
Yeah, take a shot on Sky Moore. If he's like plus 1,200 or some shit, it would make some sense. Anyways, we're gonna head out of here. Take it easy, guys. We'll have like Danny said, hero and bimodal strategy video tomorrow. Doubleheader dynasty decisions Saturday and Sunday. So if you wanna, if you guys are patrons who are listening to this, by all means get your questions in. We're pretty full on the queue, so I have to ask you, please not send us any more. But if you want to send us more, go ahead.
For sure, yeah. And again, we've gotten a couple comments on the channel. Wait your turn. If you're not a patron, like it's going to be a lengthy queue. I'm gonna say that right now. Again, we're currently in mid-June in terms of the queue, and as you guys know, we're nearing upon August right now. So a lot of you guys love the series. A lot of guys want to submit your team, so it's tough to get through 40 queue questions when we do 8 per video.
Yeah, exactly. Go with the 2 wide receivers there, Kmeyer.
Yeah.
All right. So peace out, guys. We'll talk to you soon.